I have been unable to replace the dictionary. I am therefore leaving immediately for Nepal, where I intend to live as a goat.
When I was a kid, I used to love Blackadder. 25 years ago, that was a joke. But now, it seems in 2015, 2016, it's become a reality in this crazy world we live in. I just don't know what to say, but video of the day.
In his quest for a simpler life, one man has transformed himself into a goat. Thomas Thwaites, a 34-year-old researcher from London, has spent the past year creating prosthetics that allow him to roam around on all fours. He's studied their behavior, learned their way of communicating, and even attempted to create an artificial goat stomach to allow him to eat grass. His efforts, funded by the government, culminated in a 3-day trip to the Swiss Alps, where he lived as a goat, roaming the hills with a herd. But why would anyone go to such lengths to be a goat? I suppose it was because it could be fairly difficult, depressive and just stressful being a human being, Thwaites told dailymail.com. Thwaites, who is interested in transhumanism, believes not everyone will want to become a cyborg in the future. Biorobotics, he told Motherboard, could be used by people to devolve instead of evolve. I initially wanted to be an elephant, but it wasn't going very well, said Thwaites. I visited a shaman, and she said you're an idiot. So, I decided to be a goat. The researcher set himself a goal of crossing the Swiss Alps and on his way, managed to convince a goat farmer to let him live with his herd. He also convinced Dr. Glyn Heath, a former zoologist in Salford, to create the bizarre prosthetics. But living as a goat, Thwaites soon found, wasn't as easy as he'd expected. The prosthetics were painful, the landscape was tough, and Thwaites was constantly battling the cold. Those challenges, however, were nothing compared to the task of convincing the herd he was one of them. It's much easier to walk up on my prosthetic front legs. So I ended up quite high on a hill surrounded by goats, he recalls. That was possibly a goat faux pas, because it shows dominance by how high in the herd you are. I looked up and all the other goats were looking at me. Everyone else had stopped chewing, and it was in that moment when I thought, those horns look quite sharp. Luckily, I think I made a goat friend. He made a move, and it kind of diffused the situation. A farmer, whose herd was grazing nearby, witnessed the incident and told Thwaites he thought the goats had finally accepted him. After his 3 days living with the herd, Thwaites spent another 3 days as a goat living alone. It was an interesting experience, he said. I just think perhaps it would be nicer to live a simpler life. Thwaites plans to showcase photos of his project at London's Studio 1.1 gallery from September 3rd to 17. He also has a book coming out in the spring, titled Goatman, How I Took a Holiday from Being Human.
What's that? A joke, you say? Well, it could be. It's on YouTube. I mean, everything on YouTube, most of it's all rubbish. You can't really trust YouTube. Look at this. It's a bit old too. Look at the date. 45,000 views. A few comments. And but if you refer to this article from news.com, which is News Corp, owned by and run by Rupert Murdoch, which is one of the 2 or 3 major media outlets in Australia. Here's News Corp, as you can see here. Rupert Murdoch. They obviously run news.com. Here's a story here that was published May 23rd, 2016, which is a few days ago. So it must be real, I suppose, because if it's on news.com, then, it can't be fake. It can't be, a joke or a prank or something like that. It's got to be real, of course, because, good old Uncle Rupert Murdoch here. This is the same scumbag that instead of mourning or saying something more appropriate for the losses and the tragedy of the the Sydney siege back in December 2014. It was. This champion decides to tweet something like this. Wake up call, Sydney Terror. The only Telegraph Corp, the bloody outcome, 2 a.m. Congrats. He was too busy congratulating himself rather than putting something a little bit more appropriate for those victims. He's a good bloke, this guy. Yeah, so really, really reputable source here. Oh my God. So transhumanism, transgender, no gender, trans object now next, I reckon. I might identify myself as a teapot or a pillow. Trans pillow. I'm a pillow now. I wish to act like a pillow. It's freaking madness. And if you read through the article, it points out here that this gentleman, he actually went for a government grant to become an elephant. Here it is here. Originally, he sought a grant allowing him to become an elephant and cross the Alps. And he realised that being an elephant wasn't quite for him because the size and... Well, apparently elephants have feelings and feel sadness and pain. Just much like humans, so that wasn't for him. So he decided to become a goat. It's just unbelievable. Instead of seeking psychiatric help or being in a hospital or something, this new society is allowing this to happen. So anyway, crazy stuff. But bearing in mind, it's on news.com, right? So, it must be real, must be true. So keep reading news.com, I must say. The funny thing is, I was arguing with a friend of mine at work who believes that the moon landings happened without a doubt. Doesn't look into any of it, mind you. He just says that it happened no matter what. And same with 9/11. And he reads this page every day and believes everything that's on here. He read this one the other day, and he just couldn't believe it. He was like, no, this can't be real. No, it's real. It's not a joke. It's on your favorite website, so it's got to be real. He goes, no, well, that one's fake. Well, then I said to him, how can you trust anything else that they put up? And then he didn't really have much to say after that. Anyway, I just thought I'd share this. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment. Bye.